official complaint system.
Joining us now is Stephen Silverman, the Director of Investigations and Enforcement at the Campaign Against Antisemitism. Very good to have you on GB News, Stephen. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything in this report that surprises you?
Well, absolutely nothing. Only last week we published the findings from our own research into the way in which Twitter handles anti-Jewish hatred on its platform. We conducted an extensive experiment over 3 months. We were a partner with Twitter, which meant we had a route into a different review process for this material. We reported 1,000 tweets of the worst possible anti-Semitism you could imagine. 60% of it came back as not violating Twitter's policies. And when we asked for a second review at a higher level, very little was removed after that. And this includes tweets that included statements like Hitler was right, carried hashtags gas the Jews, mocked or denied the Holocaust, usually including the word hollow hoax, demanding that Jews be expelled, presumably from wherever it was that the tweeter was tweeting, maintaining that Jews control and run everything, that Jews are responsible for the virus and are controlling vaccines, and on and on and on. Material that would have been at home in Nazi Germany in the 1930s.
Stephen, you're painting a very bleak and dark picture. Facebook, in response to this report, say that they have taken action on 15 times more hate speech since 2017. They say of the hate speech they remove 97% before it's even reported. How can these two things, your assessment and their response, both be right?
Well, firstly, our initial research has been into Twitter, where we will be planning to address Facebook later, but we're aware that the problem is endemic across social media. One of our concerns is that the policies that they have are not being implemented even-handedly, and that things are being permitted when they are said about Jewish people that are stamped on when they are addressed at other minorities or ethnicities.
Twitter say, we should just give them their say, Stephen. A Twitter spokesman says, we recognise there's more to do. We'll continue to listen and integrate stakeholders' feedback into these ongoing efforts. That's interesting, the point you make. Maybe the Jewish community, they're not seen as an ethnic minority because, in quotes, they can look after themselves.
Well, we're aware that there is a view that says that Jews are rich and successful and therefore can't be a persecuted minority, which is in itself an anti-Semitic trope. But I'd like to respond to that statement by Twitter, that they say they're listening, but they're not listening to us, because when we pointed out their failings in this area, they cancelled meetings with us, didn't reschedule them, and have stopped replying to our emails. So we have had no explanation as to why this material has not been reviewed, even after removed, even after 2 levels of review. We've had no explanation as to why they've stopped communicating with us. And look, I don't doubt that they have policies in place against this kind of thing. Policies are easy. It's the implementation of the policies that's difficult. And on the implementation of the policies, Twitter and social media companies in general are failing abysmally.
Social media giants, social media sites, they didn't create anti-Semitism. Is there an argument that actually we need to eradicate it in society and that should be the real focus? What happens, the online hate is just a reflection of the hate that happens in society. You kill it in society and then it dies naturally online. Is that a legitimate argument?
I don't think you can separate the two. Anti-Semitism has risen dramatically in the last 6 years or so, and that's for a number of reasons. It is beyond dispute that the rise in anti-Semitic crime has been exponential, and that the expression of anti-Semitic views in general, both online and on the streets, has risen dramatically as well. Now, one of the things that enables that is social media, because people who hold these views and who once would have only been able to express them in the privacy of their own home or in the dark corner of a pub somewhere, can now get together with other like-minded people on social media and spread anti-Semitic conspiracies around the world in seconds. And they are targeting an audience, many of whom are very susceptible to this kind of radicalization. And what we're seeing is that counter-argument on social media is having no effect whatsoever. It's just increasing. And social media has for a number of years been the cauldron in which the current wave of anti-Semitism has been brewed up.
The social media giants, of course, they don't like to change content much. They don't want to be treated as publishers. If they're treated as publishers, they're legal rather than platforms. Their legal position changes in many ways, which they feel is to their detriment. But I want to put it to you, Stephen, do you feel that our government, Western governments in general, are scared of the social media giants? They're scared of getting in their face and saying, folks, you need to do something about this. All kinds of hate crime appears on social media, whether it's racist hate crime we saw after England lost in the Euros, whether it's anti-Semitic hate speak. Do you think there's some sense that politicians are worried about facing up to the tech giants?
Well, I think they're saying the right things at the moment. I mean, in the last month or so, we've had meetings with the Department of Media, Culture and Science, with the Home Secretary and with the Prime Minister. Now, they're all broadly sympathetic to what we're proposing. I mean, we would like to see the online harms bill that is currently being prepared debated this year and enacted urgently. We'd like it to compel social media platforms to comply with requests from police to provide information on the identities of users under investigation, and to require the preservation of deleted content for at least 1 year so that evidence remains available. We think social networks should have a duty of care with personal liability for executives, and to compel them to remove grossly offensive content very quickly under the supervision of a new regulator. We also think one thing that would be massively beneficial is if the courts were granted jurisdiction over UK residents who commit these kind of offences when out of the UK, who they're currently immune from prosecution.
Right. Interesting. Stephen Silverman from the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism. Thanks for joining us on GB News, and you're always welcome on the show. Thank you very much.